So right here, up next, folks, as usual, I go against the grain. There's a lot of YouTubers who do certain things that they do, but I always do something very, very different. And so this instance is, of course, another perfect example of that. Up next is a case I've been looking forward to for a long time. It's a very interesting case. This is a missing person case which took place in the state of Wyoming, specifically the Western Hills area of Wyoming. And it's a very important case. They say that it's never going to be a big deal. Let's prove them otherwise. Get this case out to as many people as possibly can see it. It's a very important one. And it covers some key issues about missing people in the Wyoming Hills as well. So thank you once again. Look forward. Search and rescue teams from both Wyoming and Montana were searching southern Montana Tuesday for a woman who disappeared. Tatum Morell, or Tatum Morell, age 23, planned to hike 5 peaks in the mountains just this last weekend. She camped at Shadow Lake of Montana on July 1st, then contacted her family. It is believed she left her tent on Friday night. She has not been seen since, according to Red Lodge Fire Rescue officials. Currently, Montana's Red Lodge Fire Rescue, Carbon County Sheriff's Office, the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office, Gallatin County, and Bighorn are still searching for this possible victim around Park County. On Wednesday, ground teams planned to search the routes Morell may have, in fact, taken to climb the peaks in the area with a focus on Sundance, Bowback, and Whitetail Mountains. These routes are high elevation, very difficult to traverse as well. The dog teams and category dogs will search around the Morell campsite. Helicopter crews from the National Guard and 2 Bear Air searched the area Sunday night through Tuesday evening, while ground crews searched the area just directly outside the campsite and the surrounding lakes near the forest grove of trees. Morell is an engineering graduate from Montana State University and originally hails from Idaho State. Anyone with information on the Morell disappearance must contact Search and Rescue. Morell is not the only hiker to go missing. Last month, an Irishman, McLaughlin, went missing in the Grand Teton National Forest Park. So, this is fascinating because it's yet another area that was frequented a lot by the hunters. And so this hiker disappeared in early 2021. This was in, was it June? Yeah. This hiker essentially disappeared at the end of June, so on about July 1st is when they end up disappearing. July 3rd, they reported as a missing case, but that's amazing, That's right next to Independence Day. These people end up disappearing in Wyoming. And, it's a true story. It's quite something. And there's a number of other hikers, just like Tatum Morell, who are missing in this same area that have never been found. So this is getting interesting. An InReach device is a portable satellite phone that Tatum attempted to use. She used this around July 1st or 2nd but wasn't able to reach anybody because it was out of service. It is now about 7 days since Tatum spoke to her family, and the Carbon County Sheriff is looking into that disappearance. The National Guard was brought in to help find them. It is believed that they left the campsite at Shadow Lake Friday night and climbed one of the 12,000 peaks directly here in Wyoming. So there's a lot of mountains in that area. That area is very unusual because it's filled with so many different mountains and hills you can get lost in. Authorities believe the 23-year-old Tatum Morell was climbing Whitetail Peak when she was caught in the rock slide and suffered fatal injuries. So they claim that they found some of the victims that disappeared. Okay, so the body of Tatum Morell, 23-year-old who went missing while hiking in the Beartooth Mountains, was allegedly recovered this weekend. A group of hikers in the Whitetail Peak area found her body and reported the discovery on Saturday. It appears she was caught in a rock slide, said the Carbon County Sheriff Josh McQuillan. Morell was a Montana State University graduate in engineering and an experienced hiker who was just about to complete a career in further engineering studies when she met with this accident. She had set out from the West Fork Trailhead in early July on a hiking and camping trip, during which time she hoped to summit 5 peaks above 12,000 feet in the Beartooth mountain range. Morell, who was from Idaho, had completed similar trips. This was her first trip into Beartooth. The hikers who found her remains came across a piece of hiking gear in the mountain range. The hikers then saw something amid the debris that prompted them to contact first responders and rescue. The sheriff said that based on belongings of personal property they recovered that they knew Morell had, they are fairly certain that this is indeed her. Family have been notified and the sheriff's office is coordinating further effort. Weather prevented a recovery on Saturday, so Sunday the Yellowstone County helicopter came out. Sheriff Mike Linder, Gary Blaine, and McQuillan himself flew into the area to locate Morell. 2 Bear Air Kalispell-based search and rescue support guards recovered the body and brought it to Red Lodge, right near Beartooth. The sheriff said it was difficult to estimate the mountains, but the Morell may have been a half mile from the campsite at Shadow Lake. He said Whitetail Peak is within the search area. Red Lodge Fire Rescue was working on a press release about the recovery. They claimed that there was no reason to suspect foul play. There have been a lot of people involved in this one in one aspect or another since the search started. Morell had not been heard from since the night of July 1st, when she contacted family using the Garmin InReach satellite phone. Efforts to get a signal from the satellite. Searchers looking for a Montana State University graduate who disappeared while hiking in Beartooth Mountains of southern Montana say they do not believe she survived. Red Lodge Fire Rescue said in a statement that after nearly a week of intense search efforts, it is unlikely Tatum Morell, 23, had survived the excursion outward. It is believed that Tatum met with a tragic accident and was unable to activate her InReach satellite phone, the statement read, referring to that device. In a video statement, Morell's family stated Tate was a fiercely independent, adventurous soul who loved being in the mountains. We find solace in knowing she passed in a place that she loved the most. The family statement included their brother Josh and the parents, Kathy and Matt Morell. Tatum Morell contacted her mother in Ketchum, Idaho with the satellite on July 1st, but has never been heard from since. And her body was, of course, later found in this unusual area here near the lake. And that's a very dangerous area. And so, once again, I would say we can certainly diagnose from this that the hunters were out here in this area as well. And there are further questions that truly do need to be answered to get this out there far and wide. The cell phone were unsuccessful. In addition to sending search and rescue crews, on foot and otherwise, search dogs were inserted into the Beartooth mountain range, and all helicopters were parked to scope all of the areas across the mountainside and into the Wyoming or into the Montana Hills region. So they were from Wyoming, but this where Tatum Morell, where Morell disappears is definitely in Montana, right near the West Fork trailhead. So when we go here and we look at this, this is an unusual area. There's no question that it's very possible that despite any insistence to the contrary, this hiker most certainly probably met with foul play. Tatum Morell is not the usual type of hiker. She was definitely a very experienced hiker. She had a degree in engineering and logistical science and was planning on being a full-time engineer. I don't foresee any circumstances, at least offhand, where she would automatically end up in such a situation. Plus, there was, of course, the hiker right before her that was a friend of Tatum Morell, apparently, who also disappeared, which I find very odd. I find that odd. And when I look at the area, folks, this area is very rugged. It's dangerous. It's not the type of place you would see any kind of hikers disappear normally. And so I automatically deduce from that there was certainly foul play. Now, do we know exactly who did this? No, not yet. But I'm getting a pretty good insight into who probably did it by the fact that the hunters often frequented this particular region as well. And hikers who are experienced hikers, especially like this, like Tatum Morell, who actually had an engineering science degree and similar things, they are not going to disappear automatically. And in this instance, there was at least two of them, including Tatum Morell, who disappeared in this area. We see tents, we see different things, there's a lot of rocks. Yes, you could die in a rock slide like it says, but is it likely? Is it likely truly going to happen in an area where you have very experienced hikers, people who are studying their engineering science degrees and similar? No. That is not going to take place, is the real answer here. And so I have a feeling that the hunters were definitely involved in this as well, and probably had Tatum Morell killed, as well as perhaps the earlier hiker, because there's some strange issues with the original story. There's some inconsistencies in how they describe these places and describe the victims. On top of that, I don't believe the story that they just wandered off. I don't think so. Not when somebody who's, been going out here and been hiking a lot, that they had a friend they were hiking with earlier in the year, and so on. And so I pin this directly at the feet of the hunters. No question. The real question is exactly how did this happen? And that might be worthy, certainly, of further investigation. Let's get this story out there far and wide. Let's get other people to look at these missing person reports and missing persons from Wyoming who ended up here in Montana. Thank you.